What's going on, YouTube, and welcome back into the Hollywood Rip studio for this week's episode of the Cardboard Critics Sports Card Podcast, home of the Invest in This Card Now of the week. Well, cards, plural, now of the week. Yeah. And this week is going to be our final MLB Offseason Special Edition, part number 4. Spring training is just days away. The games start being played in just a few days as of the recording of this show. Thanks for joining us. As always, I'm Mr. Hollywood. This is Joe Nasty, as you know him, to your left, my right. And we've got 3 invest cards for you this week. 3 players who we feel could be in line for a big 2025 or a rebound 2025 or an explosion in 2025, however you want to call it.
How many terminologies can you throw out there?
Yeah, exactly. But we're going to start off this week's show with that person right there.
That cutie.
A lock of hair, a lot of locks of hair.
Mm-hmm. And flowing locks.
That's true, and that is Bichette, the shortstop for the Toronto Blue Jays, because his 2016 Bowman Draft Chrome First Prospect autograph in a PSA 9 and 10, the 10 was down 40% over the past year, and the 9 was down 60% over the past year. $165 for the 10, $104 for the 9, because 2024 was an unmitigated disaster for Bichette. He had 311 at-bats, he hit 225 with just 4 home runs, 31 RBIs, and an OPS of 598. Yikes.
Negative WAR.
And negative WAR, negative .3 WAR.
That's
yikes.
Yeah.
It was real bad, and I mean real bad. But he is a career 290 hitter.
He is.
And he hit 20 or more homers 3 years in a row from 2021 to 2023, while hitting 311, 301, 298, 290, and 306 in his first 5 seasons. He had a combined WAR over 16 in his first 5 seasons. And guess what? Bichette is in a show me year because he becomes a free agent at the end of this season, I believe. So it also helps that I think Toronto's actually going to be much better this year. And virtually no AL team, in my opinion, has improved this offseason aside from maybe the Red Sox.
They're better.
I think the Red Sox for sure have improved this offseason, obviously adding Bregman and Crochet, among others. Maybe you could argue the Yankees got better in terms of their pitching staff. Their rotation certainly got better, but their lineup probably got worse. If the Jays are healthy, look, the pitching is decently solid, although Scherzer's arms will fall off at some point.
Yeah.
But in terms of an offense, let's talk about an offense. Bichette, George Springer, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Anthony Santander, Alejandro Kirk, Andres Jimenez, and Dalton Varsho. That is just about as good of a lineup as you are going to find across baseball. Yep. It is. And when we're talking about Bichette, here's the thing. Bichette's in a contract year. You got to perform here for Bichette. And the worst case scenario on Bichette at $109 for the PSA 9 is that he has completely forgotten how to play baseball. He was abducted by aliens, and his baseball knowledge has been lobotomized from his brain. But I find that hard to believe considering he was so remarkably consistent for 5 years.
Yeah.
Before whatever happened last year. He's young. He plays a premier position, contract year, and if he bounces back and has a normal Bo Bichette season, if he hits 290, if he hits 25 home runs and drives an 80 RBIs, let's say, and steals a few bases here and there, and the Blue Jays make the playoffs, Bo Bichette is going to get $300 million in the offseason. And so if that happens, I'm telling you, the PSA 9 is not going to be $104. The PSA 10 is not going to be $165. Bo Bichette has a very, very big opportunity to rebound and see the price of a lot of his cards come back up, especially surrounded by, unquestionably, lineup-wise, what is, in my opinion, the best offensive lineup in the AL. In my opinion, I think the Blue Jays have the best offensive lineup in the American League. That's my opinion.
Depends how you feel about the young guns in Baltimore. I know they lost Santander to this team. So.
Yeah, I would take the Blue Jays over the Orioles lineup.
It's interesting because a lot of teams would love. I'm looking through their depth chart right now because, it's the Blue Jays. They kind of go under the radar. A lot of teams. I know. I see them. My former high school teammate is the backup for the Blue Jays, and yet here I am doing much better.
Yeah, exactly.
Most teams would love to roll into a game with a core of a lineup with Kirk, Guerrero, Santander,
Jimenez.
And then Jimenez, and then George Springer. What you have left of George Springer, and then hopefully
don't sleep on Varsho.
I'm not. There's not many people who can go from center field to catcher within the same game. And at Bo Bichette,
Varsho also plays an elite defense.
He's fast as heck. So I feel kind of bad for Blue Jays fans. Kind of. They're owned by Rogers, which if you do anything in Canada, the name Rogers is everywhere. I think it's telecommunications, right? It's like the AT&T maybe, or DirecTV.
I think so, yeah.
They're owned by Rogers, so they have as much money as anyone in the sport. But yet they come up second for every free agent.
Yeah, mobile internet TV.
So they control anything digital
in
in Canada.
Yeah.
Every free agent. And remember, it was just like 5 years ago. They were the talk of the future of baseball, right? They had the Suns. Vlad Guerrero, Kevin Biggio, Bo Bichette were all coming up. And then they added George Springer to that mix. And they were supposed to take off like a Blue Jay. Kevin Biggio is terrible. He's not on the team anymore.
Yep.
Vlad's good. And then
good.
And then Bo was very good and then cratered last year.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Is it injuries? Because he played literally half a season last year, 81 games. If you want to go with the injuries thing, I'll back you up on that. And I'll buy it. But he's also been on the trade block for 2 years.
He has.
Which is odd. Because 2 years ago, he was having a good season, but he was on the trade block. And this is why I feel bad for Blue Jays fans, because they had this period of hope, let it develop, and now it seems like it's just run out, and they're about to maybe hit the reset again, which really sucks as a fan. Yeah. You have to build for something for 3 years. You have to watch it build for about 3 years. It doesn't work out for maybe like 2 years, and you may be staring at the face of a rebuild again as no free agent, except for Anthony Santander, will go there. So that's why I sort of feel bad. I'm not going to lie. I didn't realize just how high those peaks were for Bo Bichette. Very quality.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just peaks. It was a consistent. I mean, he was so good for 4.5 straight years.
Mm-hmm. It just, to me, as I was sitting there doing the notes, it just maybe feels like a change of scenery is the kind of thing that could spark this guy. And so that's the team to look. If the lineup pounds as you think they could, and they're up at the trade deadline, maybe they're adding. But if they're selling, and if you see that the team is struggling again, maybe get in on Bo Bichette early before he gets traded and maybe pops off for a team getting ready to make a playoff run.
Yeah, because he will be traded to a contender. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt about that.
No doubt about that.
There's no doubt about that.
It's an interesting case. I find this, I'm going to keep my eye on this one for sure as the year goes on.
Yeah, I think Bo Bichette's a really interesting card coming the next 3-4 months.
Flo Bichette,
indeed. Yeah. But let's move to Invest card number 2, and that is Lawrence Butler, outfielder for the Las Vegas Athletics, or should I say the Sacramento Athletics for
Who
now.
knows? The Vagabonds.
Yeah, the Athletics. His 2024 Topps Chrome rookie autograph in raw condition was down 8.3%, over the past couple of months to $55 per card. 2024 for Lawrence Butler was $262 from the batter's box, 22 home runs, 67 RBIs, 18 steals. He had a .317 OBP, an .807 OPS, and a 3 WAR. Although, in his final 73 games of the season last year, so this was post All-Star break,
Yep.
he hit .302 with 20 home runs, 49 RBIs, 14 steals, a .346 OBP, and a .943 OPS. Those are crazy numbers.
Yeah.
If you need a comparison for that, those numbers offensively are basically Juan Soto plus speed. That's what it is. That's really what it is. And the A's are obviously moving to a more hitter-friendly park in Sutter Health Park in Sacramento, which has 14,000 seats. It is a minor league stadium, which they still probably won't fill.
Or people want to see the weirdness of it all.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, and God knows they're going to need Butler to mash to sell those seats at that place. And you have to love the idea that opposing pitchers are probably going to go into that stadium and they may just be like, F this, I'm playing in a minor league stadium, and they might be a little loose out there. And then all of a sudden, bang, you just got butlered.
It's probably gonna be like, this clubhouse is so tight.
Hashtag bang butlered.
Get butlered.
Get butlered. We should trademark
You got
that.
served by the butler.
There's not a lot of guys in this league that are 30-30 capable.
No, there's not.
Right? You look at someone like Lawrence Butler, it's possible. You look at someone like Corbin Carroll, it's possible, although apparently Corbin Carroll just got hit in the hand during batting practice. I don't know if he will be ready to start the year yet. Obviously, you look at Ohtani, 30-30 is easy at this point for
Taylor
him.
Cruz.
You look at Ellie, you look at Ronald Acuna, Bobby Witt, Julio Rodriguez. I mean, there's probably, it sounds like there's a lot. I'm listing a lot, right? But I'm telling you, there's probably 10. There's probably 10 guys that are realistic chances to get there. Also, Lawrence Butler didn't get caught stealing once last year. Not once.
Cool.
Pretty impressive. Lawrence Butler.
Yeah. You said the 73 at-bat numbers. 302, 20 homers, 48 RBIs.
73 games.
Sorry, 73 at-bats. That would be amazing.
Yeah, 20 homers and 73 at bats and be like,
Ooh, this guy is insane.
yeah.
Full season pace of 51 home runs. And the coolest thing about that is that it was post being sent down.
Yeah.
He struggled. They were like, you need to go back down, probably Sacramento. So back to the stadium. Figures, and then he came right back up and was like, all right, yeah, I appreciate it. I needed that. And he went off. So, nothing scientific though. To be a star, he's now going to be circled on every scouting report, right?
Yep.
So can he do that? Can he survive the long, treacherous road of a long baseball season? Like he did it in, look, 73 games is still a lot. But he did it in a sprint in comparison to the baseball season.
Yeah.
So, but if he puts up anything similar, hey, Lawrence Butler, Brent Rooker,
Yeah.
that might make me turn into an A's game once every 2 months.
Right? Right?
Yeah. Look, everyone, we love the speed now.
Yeah.
It's just
yeah.
that it's, we've talked about it.
Speed is sexy.
Speed is hot. But it's easier than ever now to steal the bases.
It is. It is true. It is true.
So I want to see if he has that hitting consistency, because if he's on base, presumably he's going to steal a lot of bases. But
Right.
to me, I think the big if is, will he be on consistently?
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at second half upside, right? Second half upside is pretty big because baseball seasons are not short. They are very long. I find it very impressive when players break out in the second half as opposed to getting off to a hot start. I put a little more wind in the sails for that, honestly, than I do hot starts.
So you're getting stronger.
Right, which is talk about someone that starts slow and gets hot. The next guy we're going to talk about is like the epitome of that. But that's why I really am interested in someone like Lawrence Butler going into next season. It's why we talked about Wyatt Langford getting real hot the last 2 months of the season last year. It's why we talked about Corbin Carroll getting super hot after the break
he was
last year as well. These are the types of players that play such a well-rounded game. They're going to help the team power-wise, average-wise, speed-wise. These are the players that you want to look at in terms of investing in cards or having the potential to seriously move their card markets upwards during the baseball season. As I alluded to earlier, we're going to move to our final card of today's show, and that is someone who is notorious for starting off awful and then getting real hot, and that is Julio Rodriguez. Of course, center fielder for the Seattle Mariners. His 2019 Bowman Mega Box, first Chrome Prospect, non-autograph, and a PSA 10. I think this is a really cool looking card, actually. It's down 55.8% over the past year, and it is just $55 per card. And in 2024, Julio Rodriguez did struggle for his standards. He hit .273 with 20 home runs, 68 RBIs, 24 stolen bases, a .325 OBP, and a .734 OPS. However, in true Julio Rodriguez fashion, over his last 34 games, he hit .313 with 9 homers. But you have to keep in mind that Julio Rodriguez is a 30-30 guy who will hit for reasonable average, usually, in most years. This dude was in the MVP conversation just last year.
Yeah.
Right? To me, all that sits between J-Rod and 30-30, 280 for the next 10 years straight is that he gets out of the gate at a reasonable pace. I'm not even saying like, Julio, come out of the gate hot. I'm just saying, Julio, don't hit 200 with 5 home runs in the first half of the season. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
like just do anything but not be god-awful in the first 2 months.
That's true.
Like, I don't know for Julio, like, have a spring to your spring, Julio.
Like, get started in January.
You know? Like, show up to spring training a month earlier and figure it out. Because this dude, talent-wise, is one of the best 5 talents in all of baseball, in my opinion. And he's under the age of 25. We talked about Bichette as our first card in this segment.
Yeah, we did.
He had slightly over 16 WAR in his first 5 full seasons in the majors. Julio Rodriguez has almost 16 WAR in 3 seasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. And to go along with that, he plays a premium position.
Yep.
And he's a gold glover.
Yep. Right?
96th percentile in league sprint speed as well. I will say not the greatest arm. But
no one's perfect.
I feel bad for Julio in some ways.
Same.
In that I feel bad for everyone on the Mariners, really. The fact that they just, this is a team that has the youth pieces to really, really make a push, especially now that Bregman is gone from Houston.
Yep.
Right? The AL West is just wide open. It's wide open. I think the Rangers are for sure the best team. Right?
Yeah, I think Houston's still going to be good.
Houston will still be good, but the Mariners have 5 legit young pitchers or good pitchers that, all it takes is you move one of them and you can pick up a real big bat to kind of help Julio a little bit, right? You need a Rosarena to wake up too.
They do.
Don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, the pitching staff should carry quite a load for the Mariners between Logan Gilbert and Luis Castillo and George Kirby and Bryce Miller and Brian Wu, who's a very good young pitcher. Not a lot of people know about him. I'm surprised that the Mariners were not in on Pete Alonso, someone like that. Considering Pete Alonso just signed a $54 million contract, how are you not in on that? How are you not in? Maybe they were in. I don't know. Maybe he just didn't want to go to Seattle because no one can see hitting out of that batter's eye. Teoscar Hernandez.
Exactly.
But Julio Rodriguez, talk about a talent. I don't think it gets much more talented than this kid.
Look, I love J-Rod.
I know you do.
And yeah, their starting pitching, it's all 5 starters are under 3 ERA guys.
It's crazy.
The thing is, and you touched on it, I'm not going to use this segment to talk about J-Rod. I think he's amazing. Yeah, he is a top 5 physical talent, and he seems like a lovely man. I hate their organization.
Yeah.
Like, Jerry Dipoto is basically on record, and remember when their owner went on, like, that Zoom? It was, like, with club members, and was like, yeah, we're trying to make a profit. Like, Jerry Dipoto has been on record being like, yeah, if we get, like, 87 wins or 84 wins, that's good. And then we have a shot to, like, maybe make the playoffs. That's what they're doing. The strength is in the pitching rotation, but we hear rumors every day about Luis Castillo being traded.
Right.
So they're fine with stripping that down. Pete Alonso, I don't know. Maybe Alex Bregman. I don't know. What about Anthony Santander?
Yeah.
Third base is a black hole.
There were so many options for
First base is a black hole. Anything that's not center field, and if you want to say a Rosarena, there's an open outfield spot where Santander could have filled in a black hole.
Yeah. The only positions where they're set are center field and catcher.
Yeah, with Big Dumper, Cal Raleigh.
Yeah.
Truly is, that's not a weird thing to say. That is his nickname.
Yeah.
This lineup is terrible.
Outside of that.
And it's on purpose. Yes, outside of J-Rod. It's because they straight up didn't bother. They should have been in on all of those guys. And they have the money because I'm looking at their roster. It's not being spent anywhere else. And this pitching rotation is young, which means it's also all arbitration eligible.
Yep.
And so it's all cost controlled.
Exactly.
I'm not worried about Julio Rodriguez. I'm worried about him being on the Mariners and him one day looking around being like, what the hell?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I 100% hear you on that. And that's a great point. And you got to remember that it's not always about the talent. We talk about it a lot. It matters. It matters if the team wins. If you're talking about the value of cards.
Right.
It just matters if someone is playing in October.
Of course. I mean, and he signed his extension already.
Right.
He's locked in. Like, he could demand a trade, but he doesn't seem like the type quite yet. But this is what happens. He could have bet on himself and waited, but he also was trying to take a flyer on the organization. Truly, he was probably being like, I'm a young man who swung my way off the island. I'm going to take this big contract, similar to Ronald Acuna.
Right.
Which, more power to him. It's easy for us to sit here and be like, you should have waited for $40 million a year when you have 20 to 30 staring at you in the face.
Right.
But my God, like, you know what their second base depth chart is right now? Dylan Moore, Leo Rivas, Miles
Mastrobuoni.
I was going to say, I need you to help me on that one. And then Donovan Solano, who hasn't been good in about 4 years.
Yeah, he's a journeyman.
He is a journeyman. Third base is Jorge Polanco, Austin Shenton. That's a made-up player. And then Master Buoni and Donovan Solano. Solano is their third to fourth depth piece for every position.
Well, so is like Kike Hernandez for the Dodgers, right?
Okay, but again, we saw him carry them through October.
That's true. That is true.
That's the Mariners. So they straight up were like,
they'll put Mitch Garver at first.
Great.
Great.
They straight up were like, our rotation's very good. Can we win games 3-2? right? Because and then
right.
Andres Munoz is probably the third best closer in baseball.
Yeah.
Behind like Clase and Hader and those guys.
Yeah, I still think J-Rod. I still think J-Rod carries value. I still think he carries value because the talent's too big, especially if he starts off the year at a reasonable pace. I'm not even saying he needs to be hot.
J-Rod's amazing. That was just my opportunity to brag on the Mariners.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, we might as well. If the Mariners are going to do this, they might as well just trade J-Rod to the Dodgers.
They could use a true center fielder.
Like, might as well at this point, right? At this point, I think we should just see how good we can make the Dodgers.
But they're ruining baseball.
And then just see what happens.
See, this is what I'm talking about. You can't say a team is ruining baseball and then sit here and be like, but I'm fine with Seattle. You know what I mean?
I think they're two different arguments, though, in a little bit.
So I think they're two different arguments, and like, yes, they maybe have too much money to spend. But also you have teams like the Mariners, this is going to be the whole thing, who are just like actively not trying. Yeah. Like, you can't have teams that are sitting there not bothering.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole ruining baseball thing and deferrals thing, I mean, we did see that Alex Bregman's contract, $20 million of it every year, is deferred.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
It's almost like teams have been doing that before.
So I will say, while I think the Dodgers have really, really, technically they're playing within the rules, but it is a little crazy, like the amount in deferrals. But it's really kind of a once in a lifetime scenario, right? Because there's only one player on Earth that should be making $700 million, and the fact that he deferred $680 million, that's not really
that was the game changer.
That's not really the Dodgers' problem.
Any team could have had. Well, any team.
The thing is, yes,
he would have done that.
Any team can do it. The question is, can you convince the player to do it?
Sure.
And if Shohei Ohtani did not defer his contract, no one would be talking about deferrals.
Because they didn't know about it.
No one would be talking about deferrals, even though they'd still be happening.
Also, you know the team that people let off the hook too easily is the Cubs. The Cubs are out there acting like a small market. Like, and like they can't extend Kyle Tucker, who they just traded for.
It's so that one baffles me. So, that one really, really baffles me.
That's what I say. Take a look in your own backyard before you really look across the country more times than not. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Now remember, guys, the views expressed in this show are solely the opinions,
albeit hot
opinions of us, and do not constitute professional investment advice. Please consult a professional investment advisor for any of your investment decisions. We usually put that at the top of the show. We're putting it at the bottom of the show for today because I forgot. Sorry, it's been a while since we've been on for you guys.
We're legal now.
But we said it. We'll put it in the description down below as well, because that's going to wrap things up for us on this week's episode of the Cardboard Critics Sports Card Podcast, and our fourth and final episode of our baseball-only MLB Offseason special. Hope you enjoyed all 4 of those episodes. Looking forward to seeing...
You're on your own now.
Yeah, you're on your own now. Nah, we'll be back next week, but it just might be other sports and stuff like that. But hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you did, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel down below, as well as ring the notification bell so that you do not miss the next one, which will be next week. We'll be back with the hobby headquarters. Actually, no, I lied. We are reviewing... actually, no, I'm lying again, because I think I'm reviewing that later today. But that is... Is
anyone trustworthy?
Yeah, who knows at this point? But we're reviewing Top Series 1 Jumbo for you guys. I have no idea what day it's gonna post yet. It might post on Monday, it might post on Friday, it might come already late anyways, so it doesn't really matter. But thanks for joining us. As always, I'm Mr. Hollywood. This is Joe Nasty, and we'll see you guys either tomorrow, next week, last Monday. Who knows?
It's not a leap year, is it?
Yeah, it might be a leap year.
It's not.
But we're leaping to being out.